I am the bread of life. Everybody see that? It's the same promise that ended last week's gospel text. We're left there like a cliffhanger in a TV show, previously on the Gospel of John. And so the story picks up right where it left off last week. And the tension continues to build. The conflict rises like a loaf of bread just getting ready in a hot oven. The Jews, it says, that were there are grumbling against Jesus and what Jesus is claiming. Now, this is not to mean that there was some fighting going on between Jews and Christians. That interpretation has led to anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish sentiment over the last 2,000 years. No, this is set up as an echo, as a connection between this story and the story of the Israelites grumbling against God and Moses as they were led out of slavery in Egypt and toward that land of milk and honey. To get to that promised land, they had to pass through something. What? The wilderness, yes. The desert. The desolate, God-forsaken wasteland where it never rains. Sounds nice to us right now, but if it stopped raining, it'd be pretty bad, wouldn't it? Where nothing ever grows. And where nothing can survive. No food, no water, no hope. No way to get through it alive. Have you ever been to a place like that? Maybe Death Valley. Have you ever had a chance to drive through that? I have not. Or even further away, the Sahara Desert. Actually, the ocean is a lot like that. If you were stuck on a raft in the middle of the sea, it's a similar experience. It's like, what's that old... Think back to your studying English days in high school or college. That old Coleridge poem, right? Water, water everywhere. How the wharves did shrink. Water, water everywhere. Not a drop to drink. That's one of the things that makes the sea so scary for someone. We get that phrase, at sea, and I think it can also describe that sinking feeling of being out there, all alone, out of control, no way out, nothing and no one to see us through. And so maybe some of us have been in places like that, after all. My father called me yesterday to say he's got a bleeding in his brain. They did tests on him on Friday, and they will have the results back on Monday. They're rushing him. He has been battling growth on his pancreas for several years now, maybe even as much as 10 years. And his doctors could not rule out, as of yesterday, that this growth wasn't somehow becoming malignant and that it may have metastasized to his brain. And he's really scared. And I would appreciate your prayers for him. His name is Roy. He's in a bad place right now. Moving through a desert of fear, despair. It's a barren landscape. How do any of us make it through? Maybe someone has shared this sentiment with you before. God will never give you more than you can handle. Maybe you have found it helpful I do not. Not when we feel like this. You can see that there's a person holding up this entire wall of words that say things like grief, hunger, self-esteem, trust, safety, loss, frustration, finances, relationships, family, illness, lack, worry, security, grades, responsibility, secrets, stress, conflict, school, fear, doubt, health, death. I mean, let's be honest right now. How many people in this room right now feel like they've got what they can bear, as much as they can handle, and they're hanging on strong? So how many of us feel like we've got more than we can handle? Do you have all the emails you need answered in your inbox right now so that they're totally clear? Have you paid every bill this month? Are all those things that they need from you at work or school right now, are those all done? So you're going to go in on Monday, it's going to be clear? Cheryl is so shaking her head right now. Everybody healthy and well in your family? Not grieving anybody? Not worried about anything? It's all of us. It's all of us. It's every single one of us. We're in that wilderness in some way, struggling to find a way through. Especially, I am sorry to say, those of us who believe in God, who seek to follow in God's ways. It goes way back, way back. It goes back to Adam and Eve. It goes back to Noah and Abraham. It goes back to Isaac and Jacob. Jacob, who struggled in that Old Testament story, struggled all night with an angel, kept him up all night fighting, wrestling. And in the process, got his hip broke, came out limping, and got a new name. His new name went from Jacob to Israel. And that new name means one who struggles with God. That's what Israel means. One who struggles with God. Consider the prophet Elijah. He is the he, and I probably should have fixed that in the bulletin because you didn't know who the he was in the first lesson we had today. But have a look at it, that first lesson from 1 Kings. He is the he we're talking about. Elijah is a mighty prophet. In our confirmation class, we learned that he was the get-her-done prophet. He stands up against the corrupt King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. And right before this lesson we have as our first reading today, Elijah has called down fire from heaven, and he goes and wipes out 450 prophets of the god Baal, prophets that Jezebel and Ahab had sent against him. But at this point in the story that we get, when we catch up with him, he's been on the run for a full day. He's being chased by his most terrible enemies who seek his destruction. And he is right on the edge. He's living on the edge. He's exhausted. He's terrified. And where does it say he is? In the wilderness. Wilderness of place, but also wilderness of mind, body, soul, the heart. And he's ready to give up. It says, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. I think at this point, Elijah has officially been given more than he can handle. Now maybe you've gotten to this point, maybe you've never been this desperate. Maybe you have never been ready to give up altogether. Maybe you felt like this. And I'm not sure, this is pretty fine print, so let me read it to you. It's a quote by Meg Catton. It says, I mean, like, people always talk about how God doesn't ever give you more than you can handle. But I'm telling you right now, I cannot handle this. This is too much. Does this sound familiar to you? You don't have to say yes, but maybe it does. We all fear getting to this point. We all fear when we are with a friend or a family member who says things like this. Says, I can't go on. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living like this. Or worst of all, when we hear someone say, I feel like ending my life. Now hear me. If you encounter someone like this, at the point of actually planning to take their lives, or if you yourself reach that place, reach out to someone, a professional, talk to me about it if you're making plans. But I also want to point out something that I think we all need to see and remember as we look at this quote from Meg Catton. And I think it points to a reality that connects this quote with what Elijah says it does there in the text in front of you in this first reading. I invite you to consider, what are they both doing? I think they're both talking to God. I think that they're praying. But these aren't sweet little prayers. Thank you, God, for giving me that parking space. God, I really would like to get that promotion. You know, God, thank you for a beautiful day. Great weekend. Those are good prayers. Not a little bit, but this is different. These are rough and raw and angst-filled cries. I've had enough, Lord. This is too much. Take my life. Take my life. And you know what? God can take it. Not in the way of ending it, but in the way of carrying it with us, bearing it with us, going through the wilderness with us. And all the time looking for those moments when we're lying there in our beds, on our sofa, at our most exhausted, our most sick, our most in pain, our most struggling, our most worried, our most anxious, our most lonely, our most lost and forgotten. And the angel appears from behind and taps our shoulder and says, get up and eat. That's too rough. Get up and eat. Not cheer up, you miserable crybaby. Not get out of bed, you drowsy, lazy loser. And not, sure, just lie there, just give up. The world doesn't really need you anyway. What's going on without you? Just, No. The angel comes again, touches us gently, and says a second time, get up and eat. No judgments, no pressure, no denying your reality. God knows, as it says in our text to Elijah, your journey is too much for you. So just eat a little. Have a little sip of water. Then see what might be done. And for Elijah, a guy who fell down flat and wanted to die, after just one day's journey through that awful wilderness, for him, that little meal, just some bread and some water, gave him the strength to go 40 days and 40 nights and to reach the edge of this mountain and actually climb up that mountain, the mountain of God, forever. What about you and me? How are we coming in here today? How bad off are we? I don't know. I don't know about you. In fact, all I know is one of my favorite quotes, which you hear me do quite often. Be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This is not a Bible quote. It says Plato down there, but I've done the research here. Who knows? They don't really know who said it. It could be Plato. Just the same as this is also not a Bible quote, by the way. It's not. But unlike this, the message of be kind is, at least that part, the be kind, is right there in your second lesson today, from the letter of Ephesians. Verse 32, be kind, it says. Check it out, verse 32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Follow in God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Fragrant offering. What is that? I invite you to imagine one of the best fragrances in all the world. The aroma of fresh baked bread. Bread. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever trusts in me will never be thirsty. Let Jesus Christ feed you with his love and his life. Now, this very moment, let him bear your burdens. Let him guide you through whatever barren lands you travel through. Great Redeemer, that he is. I am weak, but you are mighty. Hold me in your powerful hand. Bread of heaven, bread of heaven. Feed me now and evermore. Feed me now and evermore. Let us rise and sing. It's right in your voice.